Peggy here. I've had several requests about doing the crocheted mohair wood cap for the dolls. Here, just a minute. This. I don't know, it's really late in the afternoon. I've been working on a doll today. This one. Needle felting her little face. But, and so I'm getting a late start on the video. But I wanted to talk about making these mohair wig caps. And I'm going to use this cheapo Red Heart yarn to show you how to start these wig caps, because it's a lot easier. This is just for visual purposes only. I have another video about how to actually crochet with the mohair and pulling these fibers out away from the core as you are crocheting. And so you'll have to watch that one in coordination with this one that I'm going to show you. But it is really simple. It's like making a stocking cap for your doll. And so what I do is I crochet 1, 2, 3 single crochets. And then I slip stitch in the very first one. Just like that. And then in that first stitch, see that little hole right there in that first stitch? I actually do 1, 2, I hope you can see, maybe I should have used white, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Some people use a magic ring and they can tighten it down so they don't have this little hole. But after you get clear done with the wig cap, you can use this tie, this loose end that you began with, and you can sew that little hole closed. You can gather it closed with a yarn needle. That works really well. That's a really good shortcut. I had little patience for using the magic ring and closing it down and keeping a hold of it. So that was 8 double crochet. And then you join it with the very first one with a slip stitch like that. Now, the secret to doing these caps for the doll is you want to make however many rows out that it takes, like 3 or 4, but they all have to be flat. All the rows for the first like 3 rows need to be flat. So every row you'll have to increase. It means you have to do more stitches in this row than you did the previous row. So I'll do 2 in each one of those. So the second row will have 18. And then the third row I'll double crochet 2 stitches, and then I'll do 2 double crochet in 1 stitch. So there'll be 18, like 26. And so as you're doing these, you want this cap to be flat around the, let me get a smaller head here. You want the cap to be flat around the crown of the doll, around the crown of the doll's head, flat. And then after you get it big enough to be flat all the way around the crown of the doll's head, like that, then you don't do any more increases. You just do the same amount, whatever was in that last row. As a matter of fact, I don't even count as I'm making them. I just keep my doll head close to where I'm working, and I just make however many rows it takes to be able to get to the crown of the doll, the crown of the head on the doll. And then I don't do any more increases at all. I just do stitch for stitch the same amount until I make the cap as long as I want it from the crown of the head down the side, down the back of it. Usually what happens is it'll be 3 rows to get to the crown, and it'll be flat. The top part of the cap will be flat, and then it'll be 3 rows down, which is exactly the same amount of stitches that was in your last row up here, down here, and that'll make your cap, and it'll fit right on that doll's head really slick. I'm going to stop this video and finish these next couple of rows so you can see what this flat cap is going to look like. And then I want to talk to you about these different stitches, because when you're using mohair, don't use a double crochet stitch. You want to use either a single crochet or a half double crochet. And the reason that is because you want these caps to be fuller. You want them to be thicker, so you have more little fibers that you could brush out for your doll, so your doll has more hair. If you use a double crochet, so you got all these little holes in there, and you're not going to be latch hooking any yarn into here, so you want it to be nice and full and thick and tight, so that you get nice full coverage. See how that's nice and flat? Okay, we're going to have one more row. So I'll stop this and then I'll start again just. Okay, here we go. So I've got 3 rows. It's nice and flat. See how it's a nice flat piece. Now measure it on the doll's head. And every doll head is going to be a little bit different. And see how that goes right around the crown of the doll's head. Awesome. So now the next row is going to be exactly, you do 2 chains to start, and then it's going to be exactly the same amount all the way around. I'm not going to do any increases, whoops, on the next row. And what that's going to do is it's going to pull it nice and tight, and it'll actually start forming a little cap, like a little hat for your doll. A little hair hat. That's funny. Oh golly. You see how it's starting to stand up there? This doll's head's not very big, so I might only do 2 rows. And so when you're using the mohair, it takes a lot longer, because every stitch you need to pull those little fibers out. And you're not going to be building the rows as fast, because you're going to be using either half double crochet or just a chain stitch, a single crochet chain stitch, because you want it to be really full. See how that's starting to stand up? Can you see it? It's going to make like a little cup. Okay, so I'm going to do this row and one more, and then I'll fit it on the doll's head again and see how it fits. See how it looks. See if I need to do a 3rd row. If I need to do a 3rd row, I might just do a shorter stitch, like a single crochet or a half double crochet. I might not do a double crochet on the 3rd row. It might be too long. The cap might be too tall. Might go too far down the head. So, okay, I'll be right back. I just don't want this video to be like 30 minutes long. I don't know about you guys, but I cannot sit through a 30-minute video on YouTube unless it's a movie. But a tutorial, no, I get bored. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, here we go. Ta-da! 2 rows. So we did. This is the flat part that just goes to the crown. And then we have 2 rows down the side. 1, 2. So let's try that on the doll. We're probably going to have another row. Oh! Maybe not. Let's take that ear off there. That looks pretty good. Right there. How's the coverage in the back? Let's see. I can pull it down pretty well. If this is just going to be for latch hook and I'm going to put black hair on it, then I think I would probably finish it. I'd just tie it off right there and be done. And then sew it on the doll. If I had used a shorter stitch, like a half double crochet or a single crochet, I would do another row or maybe 2 more rows before I put it on the doll. Now, the mohair, you do exactly the same way. It's the same concept, except for you got to pull all those little fibers out as you're crocheting. I'll do a couple of stitches here with the mohair. Okay. This is it's so hard to work with. It takes so long to be able to do this. Maybe you can see this better now because it's a lighter color. And so you guys know, you realize that this is not a how to crochet tutorial. Okay, so I do 1, 2, 3, and then slip stitch into the very first chain. And then with the mohair I always do like the half double crochet, and then it's time to start pulling these little fibers out so you can get a hold of just that core to pull it through. And then you do another one, get a hold of just that core, go through there, pull it back, pull these fibers out, hang on to them. Like that. You do that 8 times around. I don't know if you can see very well, it's pretty small yarn, pretty small gauge. It usually takes me about 6 hours to crochet a mohair wig cap. 6 to 8 hours, it depends on how big the head is. I'm making this for my doll. But I always start out the same way, like 8 stitches, 8 to 10 stitches on the first row, and then I just keep increasing until I get out to the size of the crown of the doll. If I have to do 3 rows, I do 3 rows. If I have to do 5 rows, then I do 5 rows. But as long as that first section of the wig cap is flat, that goes around the crown of the doll, then you're good to go. And then you just don't increase anymore, and you just get it the cap the height that you want it to be, and then you finish it off and pin it down and sew it to your doll. So this is like not very much fun. Trying to do this around this silly camera, but I hope you understand. I hope that made more sense And that's exactly how you do a wig cap. It doesn't matter what the yarn is that you're using. I like to use the same color yarn for the cap as I do for the yarn that I'm going to latch hook into the cap if I'm going to do latch hook hair. So that's how it turns out. Okay, thanks for coming by. I'm going to go upload this. I hope you have a great evening. Bye.